never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
I have two words for you: predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. Here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight's guest is Ed Ronkowski, chairman of the Will County Republican Central Committee. We'll be talking about Christianity and politics, the Supreme Court taking Massachusetts to task over gun laws, the IRS and Justice Department get their comeuppance, and the anti-migrant forces building in Europe. And you won't want to miss segment 6 and the rise of the robots. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So be sure to give us a call at 312-642-5600 or go to Facebook, like our page, On Target Radio, and ask a question there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
I like to get the big chunks of news first thing every morning. What's ISIS' latest atrocity? Are the Russians crossing the Bering Strait, or are we in a nuclear war and I'll need to wear a radiation suit when I walk down the driveway to get the Sunday paper? But I wasn't prepared for what I found this morning. A middle school and high school in Colorado are allowing satanic documents to be distributed to students. Well, let me say that again. I want this to sink in. A Colorado middle school and high school are allowing satanic documents to be distributed to students paid for by the good citizens of Delta County, Colorado, who are supporting the indoctrination of their own children into the satanic rites. What could possibly go wrong with that? You think I'm making this stuff up? Here are some of the document titles. Top 10 Public School Church Violations and How to Stop Them. What's wrong with the 10 Commandments? And my personal favorite, the Satanic Children's Big Book of Activities. Presumably, a lab book is in the development and will come out with a wand, a vial of Eye of Newt, a headshot of Madeline Murray O'Hare, and a voodoo doll of Wayne LaPierre, complete with pins in the shape of AR-15s. Kurt Clay, Delta County School District's assistant superintendent, didn't want to be guilty of discrimination because previously the school district allowed for the distribution of free Bibles. So, Mr. Clay is not guilty of discrimination, but rather of being a coward. He has no clue about what the public wants and should be fired, and I don't care what could possibly go wrong with that. The entire point of education is to prepare youth to go forth in the world and be successful. The last time I looked, there were no entry-level jobs requiring knowledge of satanic rituals. This is yet another manifestation of this administration's emphasis on replacing the Judeo-Christian ethic with what the overwhelming majority of John Q. public thinks of as aberrant, sociopathic behavior. These are the same people that proclaim the United States is not built upon a Christian foundation, that the Founding Fathers weren't Christian themselves. Bull. Of the 55 delegates to the 1787 Constitutional Convention, 2 were Catholic, 28 Church of England, 8 Presbyterian, 7 were Congregationalists, 2 were Lutherans, 2 were Dutch Reformed, and 2 were Methodist. A few prominent Founding Fathers were anti-clerical Christians, such as Thomas Jefferson, who constructed the Jefferson Bible, and Benjamin Franklin. It's true, the word Christian doesn't appear in the Constitution. The Founding Fathers were near paranoid about the potential for interference by the federal government and its ability to place restrictions on the free exercise of religion. Consequently, they desired that the specifics of religion be left up to the discretion of the several states. Nowhere in the Constitution does it suggest John Q's practice of religion should be limited in any way. To the contrary, what it does limit is the government's ability to control religion in any manner. The vernacular of the American political language is resplendent with allusions to Christianity, both directly and indirectly. George Mason's original draft of the First Amendment read, "All men have an equal, natural, and unalienable right to the free exercise of religion according to the dictates of conscience. and that no particular sect or society of Christians ought to be favored or established by law in preference to others. Note, Article 1, Section 7 of the Constitution says, if any bill should not be returned by the President within 10 days, Sundays excepted. Sundays are the day Christians set aside to worship. Our laws are rooted in the Ten Commandments. Our public buildings and even our currency are adorned with Old and New Testament quotations. Read the works of almost any of the Founding Fathers, and you will find references to a supreme being and Christian theology. The point is this. Everything the Founding Fathers feared about a large centralized federal government is coming true. It's up to John Q. to hit the brakes and do a reset. And it must begin with children's education. Federally subsidized education means secular progressivism. The answer is not as simply fire the Kurt Clays of the world, nor is it to vote liberal school board members out of office. The answer is the next time something like this rears its ugly head, every parent should pull their kid from school and make other arrangements. The solution is to kill off the existing educational system, then start over with anything that is not attached to the federal government. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
Ed thought that I should do the rant for the week this week, but if I did, it would probably be very, very short. Something along the lines of, the Constitution does not guarantee freedom from religion, as some have stated, so suck it up, Buttercup.
That would actually be shorter than the intro, that, like the music and stuff that we would play. You can always do rant.
Dave, I'd like to point out that the U.S. Marines meet a lot of people and send them to the afterlife, where those satanic documents will be quite useful for the rest of their life.
Well, and there you go. Our guest for this evening is the always welcome old friend, Ed Ronkowski, who has pithy things to share with us.
Well, it's always glad to correct your mistakes.
Yes, he's sort of the conscience of the show. Well, he's my conscience.
I was going to say.
He never corrects you.
I have my own conscience.
I'm waiting for her mistakes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.
You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM 560 The Answer. Give us a call at 312-642-5600. What is your take about... okay, so the guy's position was, and I do kind of see it, they allowed Bibles to come in. Now, there was a list of groups, and I didn't take the time to name them, but there was a list of groups that said, well, wait a minute, if you do that, then we have to have equal access, and he caved and gave it to them. Legally, did he have to do that?
He should have allowed the students to bring their own Bibles in, and then not be sending out the satanic stuff. The school board needs to select a new superintendent.
Well, and that's exactly what my thought was. The guy just caved. I think the result is, they said in the article, that they're not going to let anybody bring anything. But here's the thing.
They listen to me.
Huh?
They listen to me.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Ed, and I know the Supreme Court weighs in on this stuff and all that. This is not what the Founding Fathers had in mind. They all practiced religion to one degree or another, and they all said that it was important in your life to do so. We've banned it completely.
Oh, yeah. Our Founding Fathers separated church from state, but they wisely did not separate God from state.
Exactly. But that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And, Gretchen, we've said many times, laws in this country, it would be impossible to enforce law in this country if people didn't have a sense that there's this higher power they have to answer to. Because you can't have a cop in every house. There's this moral aspect of the legal system that we're losing.
Right. John Adams said, our Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other.
Exactly. These people who say
that's exactly what Ed was going to read.
These people say that there's no fundamental basis for Christianity in our country, that the Founding Fathers weren't, and all that kind of stuff. That's nonsense.
Well, I'm not a church-going religious man, but a couple of years ago, somebody pointed out to me that the U.S. Constitution is based on the Bible. So, I challenged what I look at, and I did a little research. And after that research, I've come to the conclusion, if the Founding Fathers had submitted the U.S. Constitution as an academic paper, they would have got an F for plagiarism for not footnoting the Bible. And I could give you citation after citation I've got here. No corruption of blood. The Bible says The father shall not be put to death for children, neither shall the children be put to death for their fathers, and every man shall be put to death for his own sin. And the U.S. Constitution says, treason shall not work a corruption of blood. I mean, it's like plagiarizing the Bible. You already mentioned how they incorporated the Sabbath in the U.S. Constitution. The Bible says, render thereunto Caesar the things that be Caesar, and unto God the things which be God. And the U.S. Constitution says, the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And the two witness thing in the Bible says, at the mouth of two witnesses, or three witnesses, shall he that is worthy of death be put to death, but the mouth of one witness shall not be put to death. And the Constitution says, no person shall be convicted of treason unless the testimony of two witnesses.
All right, we're going to carry on because you got a little bit to say about this too. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this subject when we return, and we'll be back with more on Target Radio after these few messages. You're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
How can you get from here
Actually,
to
Ed
there?
has corrected me before, so.
He has?
That's on the internet, not online.
Well, yeah, more on Facebook.
Well, you call me on the
But
phone
still.
live on the radio. You go,
You don't know how to use the internet, Simon. I could text you a message, you'll get it tomorrow. It came on your cell phone. You can't even figure out how to use the big camera versus the little camera. Do they plug into the same hole?
just switched the sound over. I did that, me. And I basically set this up today because Jim's
We taught him how
gone.
to do it, yeah.
I can't program my
Hi,
damn...
Jim, if you're watching from Serbia. Hi. He remembered to switch the microphone.
I don't think Jim is listening. Serbia's what, 7 hours?
Something like that, yeah.
And it would be later, so it's 9. That'd be 4 in the morning. He's not
Serbia's
listening.
like 8 hours ahead of us.
Is it 8?
I think.
He's not.
Well, here's the
like
thing. How long
5
is he
a.m.
going to be there?
The week, I think.
Week, yeah.
Okay, that's not long enough for them to get the internet then.
Parents who've never said no. Parents who've never said a curfew. We don't need love and kindness.
Okay, well, so, all right.
Weeknights starting at 5.
You're going to do the rejoiner when we come back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois
So,
citizens.
how am I going to set you up? What do you want me to say?
For over 100 years, the ISRA
On
has
what?
supported the use
Her.
of firearms
Oh.
as a sport for personal protection and as a fundamental aspect of national
You,
defense.
because you got some stuff you want to say about that,
Illinois
right?
State Rifle Association has been supporting
And then after that, we're going to go to the Supreme Court.
Katana.
or 815
Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
3198. The Illinois State Rifle
I assume that's it, Caetano.
supporting you.
It's probably Italian or Filipino.
An Italian wouldn't use a stun gun.
That's probably true.
22 in the head, 8 times.
I know a guy. Yeah, I know a guy.
Guaranteed for life with no market exposure. Call me at 630-777-7955. That's 630-777-7955.
You have pithy thoughts?
You work hard to build your wealth.
Wait a
I
second.
work hard to
Okie
protect
dokie.
it. 630-777-7955. Insurance products may be presented and guarantees are
Yeah, the resolution on that little
30
camera
seconds.
is really nowhere near the same as it was. Okay, you're bringing it back, then I got to bounce it back to you. So I'm going to say Gretchen wants to talk about. Okay, so I'll give us a call, and then you can take it back again.
Okay.
So you're going to bring it in, and I'm going to bounce it back.
Okay.
Get $129 worth of service for $39.95. That's RadioPlumbingDeals.com.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control. concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect life.
And we're back with more on Target Radio. This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join like-minded friends supporting the right to keep and bear arms in Illinois at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
So, I think this is a big subject, and I want to just continue on with it a little bit. You've got some thoughts on this. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. We're talking about Christianity in the government.
Well, I think that one thing that Ed didn't mention, but is one of the most obvious examples, is that right in the Declaration of Independence, so even before the Constitution in 1776, they all signed the document that said, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. So by signing their names to that, they all acknowledged that they believed in a Creator, they believed that we were the creation, and that we had certain rights that came along with that, and that those rights come from God, not from the government. And that's very, very important, because most governments before that and after that, really, to be honest with you,
and today
didn't recognize that. Didn't recognize, they said, you have no rights, and we'll cede some of them back to you if you're lucky, and if you behave yourselves, the monarchy will give you some of your rights back. But the American government did it the other way, that you have all the rights, and you're actually giving the government a few of them.
Very few people actually understand that the Constitution is limiting government. That's really what it's all about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you look at Europe at that time, the Constitution was adopted. They had nothing but dictators and monarchs and guys like Napoleon running around, and King George trying to take away our rights and tax us without representation and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the whole issue of the Second Amendment, first of all, it is disingenuous to suggest that 9 of the 10 amendments are individual, and that one is not. That's why they call it the Bill of Rights. That's the whole point.
Right, they're individual rights.
Right. And the point of the Second Amendment from day one, you read even the Federalist Papers, and the point of it is the common man should have the power to withstand his own government.
Right. It's to resist tyranny.
And yet, listen to the Hildebeest, or Bernie, for that matter. He's not a big... it was interesting that he came out saying you'll bankrupt the gun manufacturers when he... Well, I think he's against what they call assault weapons more than just firearms. But,
it would only take those two, one Supreme Court pick, to take away all those rights. Go back to the day when any gun control is legal.
Yeah. Stare decisis, the heck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's... liberalism, it's a joke. Did you see this? The woman who, I forget what state this is in. She's a teacher. She's at the University of North Dakota. She teaches communication, creative writing. She looked out her window, and the ROTC was out there drilling. Okay, they have firearms and like they do in uniform. She called 911. And when the cop came in and said, "Excuse me, that's the ROTC. They drill." She goes, "How long?" And they're going to be probably drilling for another month. And she goes, "I'll be calling 911 every day." And they go, "Why? What is?" She says, "It's not my job to determine with somebody with a gun if they have good intent or bad intent. That's your job." That's liberalism.
Well, on this first call after that, they should arrest her for disorderly conduct for filing a false police report.
Right, exactly.
I like that answer.
She won't make the third call.
It's true.
It gets real expensive.
Yeah, it does. It's although they did. You remember Ms. Glick, the one who there was a professional
Missouri,
journalist. Right? Yeah, University of Missouri, professional journalist videotaping. Was it Black Lives Matter? I can't remember what it was.
I don't know that it was that specific name, but it was a Black.
It was a demonstration, anyway. And she goes, "You have to leave," and he goes, "I'm on public land. I'm a journalist. I'm covering a story." And she got a bunch of goons to grab the guy and hustle him out. He sued. They fired her.
Well done. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought.
Free speech won.
I want to get to the slap in the face of Massachusetts by SCOTUS, which I think is very interesting. But you might want to explain it a little bit. But then the big question is what long-term effect does it have?
Okay, Massachusetts had a Second Amendment case where a very thin woman was being assaulted, and she used a stun gun to keep from being murdered. And the police came back next day, arrested her for possession of the stun gun, which was illegal under Massachusetts law. She was convicted, and the Massachusetts Supreme Court upheld that conviction on the flimsiest of basis. It went up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and last week they reversed it in a summary opinion. It was very, very short. They said Massachusetts tried to sustain the conviction under the theory that whether or not a stun gun was the type of weapon contemplated by the Second Amendment. And the Massachusetts Supreme Court had argued stun guns are not protected because they were not in common use at the time of the Second Amendment, and that nothing in the record would show that stun guns are readily adaptable for use in the military. And the Supreme Court backhanded, the U.S. Supreme Court backhanded the Massachusetts Supreme Court by saying that logic is entirely inconsistent with the clear statement in Heller that the Second Amendment, quote, extends to arms that were not in existence at the time of the founding. And that Heller rejected the proposition that that the Second Amendment only extends to weapons useful in warfare. And when you get what they call a per curiam opinion, where no justice is signing it, it says all the justices said this is settled law, you're really dumb, and correct your mistake.
You're really dumb.
Yeah.
You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM 560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Now, the interesting thing about this opinion is after Scalia died.
Well,
or was it before he died?
No, they argued it before he died, and they decided it after he died, so he didn't get a vote, unlike Chicago.
It was unanimous, which includes 4 justices who voted against Heller.
It's one of two things. You would hope it's the 4 justices that voted against Heller are saying Heller and McDonnell are now established law. It could also be a feint by those 4 justices.
That's what I'm wondering.
To say, oh, yeah, you could take the next pick. If Obama's next pick is against Heller and McDonnell, it'll be okay. 8-1 against them, And they could be a feint, and then all of a sudden they get a friend in there, and it's 5-4 against the Second Amendment. We go back to no Second Amendment.
And that's exactly what I've been worried about. So the big question is, not that any of us can answer it, are the Republicans going to crack?
All you need is 4 Republicans to crack.
That's right.
And one already has said he's cracking.
Let's see. What senator would that be?
Mark Kirk?
Wow. Boy, there's a real shocker.
He's the first one to welcome Obama's pick into his office.
Yeah. I heard there was 2 others. There was Grassley and Ayotte. I thought said they were going to meet with them.
Well, yeah, they should meet with them, but not vote on it.
Right. But I read an article that said they shouldn't even meet with them because that's like opening the door to, we'll have hearings.
Well, they should politely explain to him the Joe Biden rule that a lame duck president shouldn't do this.
Well, right, exactly.
Can you not filibuster that?
Well, that's not voting on it, It's the same thing. You don't. The Republicans nominally control the Senate, so they just don't call it up.
Exactly.
For a vote.
Right.
And they need, I think, 60 votes to call it up by themselves.
Yeah. And I don't think they have that.
We'll see.
Well, that's certainly is uplifting.
Yeah.
These are strange times.
I don't think they will, though, because I'll just say the public outcry against them confirming this person or even having hearings is pretty strong.
Polling shows that most of the public believes they should call it for a vote.
Oh, really? No,
yeah.
That doesn't jive with what I'm hearing and
all
seeing.
My friends say it shouldn't be called, but when you do scientific polling of asking conservatives, liberals, independents, all 50 states, it shows something different.
Right. Oh, well, McConnell for a change actually seems pretty strong on this one. So, I give him a little credit for growing a little bit of a spine.
Yeah, but we've seen people pound on the table and then cave in quietly later.
Well, sure.
Well, and that's exactly right. it's all show but no go.
And that's always the fear.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a polite way of putting it.
We're gonna be back with more on Target Radio. When we come back, we're gonna talk a little about the IRS and the Justice Department got their comeuppance. They joined Massachusetts and getting, slapped. We'll be back with more on Target Radio after a few messages, and you're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
Sure does.
Admit it, you wanted to say ass.
Pimp slapped.
Bitch slap.
They get their ass
There was a
It's pimp
small
slapped.
bubble of
It wouldn't
memory
make sense. He
that
said
brought
there.
forth words that I knew
They
would
got
not
their pimp
be allowed
slapped.
to
Unless they
leave
brought
this
their
room.
pimp there and then someone slapped him.
Yeah, that's the term that I use is pimp slap.
Pimp slap, yeah.
But you wouldn't
It's
have
a backhand
their pimp
yes.
slapped.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, there are probably plenty of people in this world who would want their pimp slapped.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Did you mute
The
the...
bitches.
It refers to a pimp slapping the whore
No,
backhand.
I'm well aware of the common usage.
Okay. I'm sure you are.
Did you switch the microphones?
Yes, absolutely.
Do people call you Gator in your personal life?
No.
Okay. Did you ever see that movie? Will Ferrell and Marky Mark?
What's the name of it?
The Other Guys?
I love the other guys.
A Gator don't play! How does Gator don't play?
That's right.
I've never even heard of
He's
it.
like, I wasn't a pimp yet. You were a pimp.
Yeah, you were there. Will Ferrell is this straight-laced forensic accountant, police officer. So he's literally just,
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
He's
that
like,
rings a bell.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then
you've seen it. I know.
and then
you've seen
at the end, after they've ruined his Prius 3 or 4 times and homeless people have had
That-
sex
yeah.
in it and everything else,
I've
then
seen
he
that.
sort of snaps and reverts back into this previous pre-law
Right.
enforcement.
He
He
tells-
was a pimp.
He tells
And he-
her
and he
in
just
college.
goes nuts. Yeah,
he was
he's
a pimp
in
in
college.
college. He's like, well,
How's Gator? Gator don't play.
I arranged for some
He
ladies
just starts freaking out.
to
Friends.
escort men to events and
Yeah.
things. You were a pimp. No, I wasn't a pimp.
It's hilarious.
One of my favorite
He's like
movies.
describing.
The wooden gun.
He's
Did you ever
describing being a
Did you ever
pimp.
see Night Shift?
Yes.
That's one of my favorite movies. I just love that movie. I'm an idea man. They just bombard me. They just come down. I love it when Michael Keaton goes down in the morgue and he goes, "So, like you're running bitches out of a morgue?" Is that?
That's
Yeah, it's a
cold.
great-
That's real
Michael
cold.
Keaton was
It,
great.
it is. Oh, did you ever see that movie?
No.
Oh, it's funny.
Where he's
It's
at the home
very
improvement
funny.
store or whatever it was.
And then
he
what
plays
ends up
store.
happening is, who was Henry Winkler?
Yeah.
Henry Winkler is the straight guy, right? Keaton is the guy
I was
who's
gonna
doing
say,
all this
who was
stuff.
Henry Winkler from
and by
Happy
the end of the movie, Henry
the best
Winkler
sense
is the pimp, and he's got all the hookers on
His name is Mike
401ks. He's an accountant, and he's got them all on 401ks, and he's organized it as a business and all this stuff. It's a very funny movie.
A lawyer would recommend not having a lot of paper when you're doing an
Did you say
illegal
Michael?
enterprise.
Arthur.
Well,
Fitzgerald.
he
That's
basically
really. I was thinking of Michael Keaton.
he legalized
Burner
Michael
cell
Keaton
phone.
at
he
the Appliance
legalized
store.
all you
everything
should have.
everything
They
they
go
were
in, they're
doing.
like, "Yeah, we got
With
some-
no texting ability.
You should watch it. It's a funny movie.
You need a microwave?
It is a funny movie.
We're gonna have sex in your car.
I've seen too many attempt murder cases where that phrase is, used.
What? We're gonna have sex in your
Well,
car?
it's we're gonna have sex and then things get carried away.
Oh no, these were homeless guys that were threatening to have sex with each other in this guy's car
Yeah, right,
because they
right.
kept stealing his red Prius and then like defiling it in various ways. It's one of the funnier parts of the movie. Actually.
Me and my dad
This
actually.
wooden gun
Me
is
and my dad actually watch that movie like whenever we see it on cable. We'll watch it together.
Well, I gave my brother a wooden gun because he dropped one of my old rifles.
Who's it?
My brother Paul. There's nothing wrong with the rifle, but when I came back the next time, I had this wooden Tommy gun forever. Right, it's just a piece of wood cut in the shape of a Tommy gun. That was suspended me from school, and I came in the next time I went to his house. I was like, "Here, so you can practice." He's like, "Fuck you."
No.
Is your brother French?
No, I mean philosophically perhaps. But see, that's why you just don't trust them to make the rifles.
Okay,
You
well,
end up with
the
a-
French
you end up
drop
with a
all their
show.
rifles
Yeah.
without firing them.
No, I got it.
Okay.
He doesn't run either, actually. So he's,
I also love how he thinks his wife Eva Mendes is really plain.
no, I don't need your sarcasm, all right? You know, like I think I
One
sell
minute.
pretty well and whatever, you know.
Un momento.
Yes. Uno minuto.
So we're going to talk about, are you familiar with this? The IRS getting slapped down?
Yeah, I read some of the same stuff that you gave me, this tree that's
I wish they
cut
would
down.
slap down my damn refund. It's been a month.
Yeah, the judges are getting really ticked off at the U.S. Justice Department lawyers.
Yeah. That's basically...
What they said about the defense team on this lawsuit, they're not going to have any careers after January. To be selling used cars.
Well, they've done some pretty aberrant stuff.
Well, when the appellate court does an opinion,
there's nothing good in it.
impugning their ability and integrity like they did.
Yeah.
Stand by.
9348. If you're in debt and you need help,
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
Over a half-century ago, a respected firearms store opened. It started as a hobby for Mike Schrank and has now served generations of customers. Schrank's Smoke and Gun retains a family atmosphere and now carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County. From pistols, rifles, and shotguns to hard-to-find calibers, collectibles, and older functioning hunting rifles. You'll also find full gunsmith services from simple detail cleaning to complete rebuilds. Whether you're thinking about your first firearm and a FOID card or looking to add to your collection, visit Schrank's Smoke and Gun. If you have a firearm to sell, the recent sale was so successful, they need your firearms. And if you love cigars, you'll find your favorites in Schrank's humidors along with a broad selection of pipes and tobacco. Visit smoke, the letter N, gun.org or call 847-662-4034. Schrank's Smoke and Gun in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034. They're good folks. I enjoyed my visit there, and I went home smoking a cigar, and I appreciated that. You're listening on Target Radio. This is AM 560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. It's kind of quiet tonight. Another comeuppance, okay? First, what slapped Massachusetts. Now we're getting closer to home still. Now we're doing it to the IRS and the Justice Department. I find this very interesting.
Well, everybody hates the IRS, me included, but the federal appellate court really chastised their lawyers and impugned their integrity. The history of the case is many years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago, there was a lawsuit that was filed based upon the IRS specifically targeting Tea Party groups and subjecting audits, delayed applications, and just screwing around with them. And the IRS inspector's arm, whatever they call it, investigated and sustained on their own findings all those findings, that the IRS took 4 times as long to proceed to process Tea Party applications as other applications. The IRS served Tea Party applicants with crushing demands for what the Inspector General called unnecessary information. And then the appellate court said they're 3-year resistance to turning over the documents that had been ordered to be turned over compounded that conduct and was the same thing. And this is what the appellate court said about the IRS lawyers in the appellate court. The lawyers in the Department of Justice have a long and storied tradition of defending the nation's interests and enforcing its laws, all of them, not just selective one, in a manner worthy of the department's name. The conduct of the IRS attorneys in this district court falls outside of that tradition. That's a legal way of saying that you guys are the most unethical nimrods we've ever seen.
Well, I liked particularly what the judge said, and he said, among the most serious allegations a federal court can address are that an executive agency has targeted citizens for mistreatment based on their political views. This is Judge Raymond Kethledge. And it was a unanimous decision, by the way. said no citizen, Republican or Democrat, socialist or libertarian, should be targeted or even have to fear being targeted on those grounds. Yet, those are the grounds on which the plaintiffs allege they were mistreated by the IRS here. The allegations are substantial. Most are drawn from findings made by the Treasury Department's own Inspector General for Tax Administration. Those findings include that the IRS used political criteria to round up applications for tax-exempt status filed by so-called Tea Party groups, that the IRS often took 4 times as long to process Tea Party applications as other applications, and that the IRS served Tea Party applicants with crushing demands for what the Inspector General called unnecessary information. Now, it's not like this is the first time somebody's sicked the IRS on anybody. We know it's been on both sides of the aisle, but this has been like systemic. This is like the way they do business every day.
Oh, yeah, and we have to draw the line here, Dave. You know why? Because you're next.
I'm not sure that I'm next. I think I'm past.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's in the on-deck circle.
Yeah, I don't know.
The notice is in the mail to you.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I think they're ready to pounce any minute.
Well, you can't get blood out of a stone.
Well, that is
true. A true fact. Well, and you've read your favorite part. My favorite part is they're just trying to get the list. They're still in discovery. They're just trying to get the list of all the groups that were targeted because they're doing a class action lawsuit. So
I didn't get that.
They want to reach out to all of those groups that were targeted because they may not even know that they were targeted. And the IRS won't even turn over the list. So they can't even start with this lawsuit because the IRS is just digging in its heels.
Well, I know courts because I've been a practicing lawyer since 1974. And you're going to get a judge backed up, and that judge is going to tell the IRS lawyers, turn over the list now. We can't do that. Okay, take them into custody and keep them in custody till the list is turned over. And all of a sudden, that 3-year delay, that list will be coming over in boxes before they get them into lockup.
The one really positive thing here is that the system is working. Even though it's been abused, there's still somebody who cares that's in that position.
It's taken a while, but finally.
We're going to be back with more On Target Radio after a few messages, and you're listening to AM 560, The Answer.
We could probably say
But you know what I'm saying? At least somebody at the federal level gives a shit.
Yeah, well, it's when their own Inspector General turns them in and says this is outrageous.
Yeah.
Now and then the head of the IRS takes the fifth. Yeah. No. That other lady.
Yeah.
I need to start carrying around a microphone, just a microphone, so I can drop it in front of people. So I had this exact conversation with this crazed liberal friend of mine the other day.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Well, Nixon did it. Nixon was Republican. I said, listen, if your criteria for determining whether what your guy is doing is right or wrong is based on whether or not Nixon did it, you probably should reconsider.
That's a really low bar.
I said that if that's your standard, you're fucked. So I wish at that point I just had this random microphone in my back pocket. I literally would have freaked them out and just.
You know what the interesting thing is about Nixon, and it's true, they were going to impeach his ass. But if you look at that man's face when he said goodbye, he was humiliated.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He literally, he knew what he was doing was wrong. He didn't want to get caught, but he was humiliated when he got caught.
I think that's true.
These people, it's like a badge of honor.
I think that's true to a certain extent. I think that he genuinely thought that that's just the way it happens. And then it's not wrong because it's the way it works.
Well, and
there were certain things that may have been ethically or morally right or wrong, but as far as the conduct of the office, I think he was just following precedent.
Look at G. Gordon Liddy.
Yeah.
Literally told them, tell me what corner to stand on, what time, and I'll be there, and you can take me out, and that way you can blame me.
Right.
That is how they did business.
Yeah.
That's hardball.
I'm amazed that
Vince
G. Gordon
Foster
Liddy
say the same thing.
I'm amazed that G. Gordon Liddy
it's not
left prison
recorded,
alive.
but I think probably he might have. Yes.
Genuinely amazed that G. Gordon Liddy left prison alive.
You what?
Left prison.
Oh, he's one of the toughest guys. He was.
I thought he would have been.
Oh, killed in there.
Yeah.
Pretty hard to kill him.
He already
I mean, yeah, I suppose in prison you get gang.
Everybody's got their weakness. G. Gordon Liddy, I bet, was going for like hair plug treatments or something. He was in a chair at some point with his eyes closed.
Well, Jared from the Subway, he gets beat up in jail.
He got the foot-long special.
And then then he gets out and they put him in the lunchroom making sandwiches. That's classic.
Well, he's doing something he knows.
Yeah.
Does anybody know anything about the next segment?
I'm reading it right now.
Good.
This is an awesome article, though. This one that you gave me.
The top one?
Yeah.
American leadership?
No, the anti-migrant force. Basically, Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, and Slovakia are like they already have like an alliance, and they want to build a fence in Macedonia and Bulgaria, and
And we're back with more On Target Radio. I want to swing over to to what happened in Brussels. And this president, am I mistaken if I missed it? He still hasn't called them terrorists, has he?
Obama?
Yeah.
He's still got his mind in Cuba. Saying what a great government they are, and there's no difference between communism and capitalism, and the Castros are great people.
You saw what he said to, I think they were college students, maybe not, but they were students, about how don't get bogged down in titles. Just pick what works. There's a little socialism here, a little democracy there. Just pick whatever works in the future.
Well, for Obama, there is no difference between communism and what he's doing.
Probably not. The whole Brussels thing, did you see that? Did you read that they think that attack was rushed because the guy was planning to take out a nuclear power plant?
They arrested a guy in Brussels that was associated with the attack on Paris.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have a guy who knows the nuclear power plants.
Oh.
Yeah. And that would be unhealthy.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Well, the security in Europe on their power plants is much less than ours. I know people that are vendors at the Braidwood nuclear power plant and the Dresden. And if their ID doesn't match up 100%, they're held at gunpoint while they verify the person's identity. And that's at the gate, not inside.
You're talking about here?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said it's better in Europe when you said it.
You said it's better here.
Yeah, it's better here.
Yeah, that's true. The thing about all this is, have you ever been to one of those nukes? It's a little guard shack. I mean, they could come highballing in there with a gas truck, full of gas and drive through that thing, blow it up, and then the next team would come in.
Well, the reactor containment building is designed to be intact if it's hit by a fully loaded airplane.
In fact,
the big ones.
I've told this story many a time. When they first designed that design, they took a 727, put it on a flat car rail, got it up to normal speed, and essentially flew it into the reactor, and didn't have any effect. But here's the interesting thing. You still can't bring a handgun there, which if you can fly a fully loaded airplane into the thing and not have an effect, what exactly are you planning on doing with a handgun?
Yeah.
I think we've got our priorities all screwed up in this country. We haven't accepted this.
You could shoot a steam pipe.
Well, okay, so, then you make hot dogs. But the point is...
radioactive steam all over the place.
Oh, I see.
We had a student in concealed carry who just finished a nuclear engineering program. This was a couple of years ago. And he said, not only can you not have a handgun or the ammunition in your car in the parking lot, you also can't have a personally owned laptop in your car.
Really?
He said they're really paranoid about takeovers. So it's not so much that they think shooting the reactor is going to do anything, but that you're going to try to take it over.
Well, that's what when Iran was working on their nuclear weapons, they substituted the CIA substituted on some Iranian scientist's laptop one of those thumb drives, and the guy eventually stuck it into the Iranian computer inside their nuclear facility, and it had the virus that downloaded, and all of a sudden, all their centrifugal centrifuges were working in sync to build up a harmonic divergent flutter or whatever they call that, and they all destroyed.
like 1,000 guys marching on a bridge.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what the United States doesn't want. You cannot have any contact with the computers inside, and they don't want to have somebody absentmindedly bring in a thumb drive and stick it in a port and accidentally download something like that.
Or plays Beach Boy tunes. Who knows? You never know what will happen. You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM 560, The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. It's really quiet tonight.
It is a religious holiday. It's like a high holy day.
And people do not hold us in religious fervor?
Apparently not.
I guess not. That's not the case. Europe is beginning to say maybe this refugee thing was a bad idea.
Well, last year they did polling of the entire world on the immigration problems. And worldwide, people are more likely to want immigration levels in their countries to either stay the same or increase. That's everywhere in 2015 except Europe. Europe is the only ones that don't want it. And the reason is that they have an immigration problem. When the immigrants come to the United States, they're assimilated. It was pointed out to me that if you look at the average Muslim immigrants' income in the United States, it's higher than the average American's income. These are educated, hardworking people, and they got a lot at stake. They don't want to see riots in the street. In 1960, Asians were only 5% of the immigrants coming into the United States. In 2014, 30% of all the immigrants in the United States are Asians. They're not out there rioting. They're going and getting educations. They're hard-working people, and they're assimilated. So in the United States, we have this assimilation, and it's hard to get indigenous terrorism, even though we're starting to see spots here and there. In Europe, it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they have whole enclaves. We were talking about this earlier today. They will block a busy intersection to pray. Now, it's not like they have to do it there. They're doing it there to make a point. And that's the kind of problems that they're having over there. We got to take a break. We're going to be back after a few messages. I want to talk a little more about this very subject, about Europe and radicalism. But we'll be back with more on Target Radio. And you're listening to AM 560, The Answer. We're just not taking this stuff seriously. I mean, some people are, but this government's not taking it seriously.
No, it's not.
Okay, so as I was saying...
Finally get a call and the guy flakes out.
Oh.
As I was saying, Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, and Slovakia want to build a wall on the border of Macedonia and Bulgaria with Greece.
So they've been talking to Don?
And make Greece pay for it.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
We have very little time. This guy Johnny who hung up, I wanted to get in.
Was it John?
Johnny, I don't know. It wasn't John from Crete.
Do you have a beef?
No, but he brought up something separate, but sort of along the lines of the Supreme Court thing. He was asked what the legality would be of nationalizing the firearms manufacturing industry as a matter of national security, and then restricting who they make and sell to.
Sure.
Sort of like the U.S. did with Republic and Grumman.
Well,
you know what I mean? As opposed to trying to put as opposed to trying to put them on a business.
What could
co-opt.
possibly go wrong with that idea?
No, he's saying why what's preventing what constitutionally would prevent the government from doing so. The next war, say, well, we need to nationalize all firearms.
So we know they're listening, so let's not give them any ideas.
Okay.
But anyway, so it's not even their countries, but they want to build a wall.
20 seconds.
And actually, Macedonia and Bulgaria are on board.
3 decades of experience, DS Arms has you covered. DS Arms, much
People are fed up.
It's easy to reach and
They're fed up.
just off of Route 14 and Pepper Road. Call 847-277-7260.
260 or visit dsarms.com.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM 560, The Answer, with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
So the thing is that the Europeans who really were on the leading edge of, oh, can't we all get along, let's everybody come in, now that the rapes are astronomical, and now that there's violent crime in places where there traditionally wasn't violent, now they're going, okay, we don't like this. Who's building a wall? This is what they're giving Donald Trump a hard time over.
Right. There's an allegiance of 4 countries, Hungary, Poland, Czech Republic, and Slovakia, that want to build a wall on the border of Macedonia and Bulgaria, their border with Greece. And so they're not in the group of 4, but they're actually on board with it because they're having a meeting coming up, and Macedonia and Bulgaria are planning on coming to the meeting, and they want the wall too.
And see, they're giving Donald Trump a hard time about this. You know what? They can say all they want, that, this is not what America's about. What America is not about is not letting valid, qualified immigrants in. That would be a problem. Okay? My parents were immigrants. Lots of people are immigrants. I know people whose parents are immigrants. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about these 20-some-year-olds, 30-year-olds who are coming across the border, or they're sneaking in as refugees, and they're raising mayhem, and it's more and more. It's increasing.
Well, a lot of the European terrorists that were committing these atrocities in Belgium came in under the influx hidden among the refugees. And that's the problem. If you let them in without checking their backgrounds, or if it's impossible to check their backgrounds, then don't let them in.
Well, and there's precedent for it. And I think I forgot it. I didn't bring it. But it goes way back. I mean, years back. I forget what president it was. But it's been done. I mean, there's actually a law on the books. Doggone, I wish I'd brought it. There's a law on the books that say the president has the right to monitor who's coming in the country. And if it looks like somebody's coming that's undesirable, you close the door to them. That's a law. It's 2 guys' names.
Well, I think it's a little more complicated than that.
I'm just, all I know is what I read.
Yeah.
But there is a law that you can do that.
My action items.
That would be right now.
This is the last segment.
That's exactly right. Wow. It goes fast, doesn't it?
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Illinois Gun Owners Lobby Day is Wednesday, April 6th. Join us in Springfield to protect your Second Amendment rights. Let the politicians know where you stand by marching with thousands of other gun owners to the Illinois State Capitol. If you see me and my mom, say hi. The bus reservation page has been posted on the ISRA website, isra.org. I put the link on Facebook earlier today. The women's holster class that I teach has gone to a girls' night in format only. The class addresses firearm selection, rationale for female-specific holsters, demonstration of about 9 holsters, and plenty of time to try on holsters and discuss concealed carry. If you would like to schedule a fun, informative get-together for 4 or more women, contact me or David directly by email, phone, or Facebook. There are a couple of spots left in my April 9th party in the Plainfield-Romeoville Crest Hill area. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Sunday, April 10th, Tactical Pistol 1 and 2, taught by David. Saturday and Sunday, April 16th and 17th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry, as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
And for the month of April, all Illinois Concealed Carry classes are half price. That's
Except
it.
for the fundraiser class.
We're doing them all half price.
Oh, okay.
So this is a good time to get it. If you want it, now's the time to get it. It's half price. We'd like to thank Ed Ronkowski for coming in the studio this evening. We'd like to thank you for listening to On Target Radio.
We'd also like to thank George Hoffman on the board and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the ISRA, Shrink, Smoke, and Gun, the Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
And stick around for segment 6. We're going to talk about the rise of the robots. And by the way, always thankful, Michael.